The ship broke apart in the night sky like a dying star. Yuna was sleeping when it happened. She was 6 years old, curled up in her small bed in the family cabin, holding a stuffed rabbit her mother had made for her. The rabbit was blue with white ears. She called it Bomi. The first explosion woke her. The second one threw her against the wall. Her mother, Dr. Kimte, grabbed her and ran. Her father, Park Soo, was already at the door, shouting something Yuna could not hear over the screaming alarms. Red lights flashed everywhere. People ran through the corridors. Someone was crying. The colony transport Hanyol's promise was carrying 300 people to a new world. They were farmers, scientists, teachers, and engineers. They had dreams of building a new home among the stars. Now, the ship was falling, burning, dying. Yuna's father pushed them into an escape pod. It was small and dark inside. Her mother held her tight and whispered that everything would be okay. Her father sealed the door and hit the launch button. The pod shot away from the ship. Through the tiny window, Yuna saw the Hanyol's promise break into 1,000 pieces of fire and metal. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Then the pod hit the atmosphere of the planet below. Everything shook. Yuna screamed. Her mother held her tighter. The crash was violent. The pod tumbled through trees and rocks before it finally stopped. Yuna opened her eyes. Her ears were ringing. Her mother was not moving. She shook her mother's shoulder. Nothing happened. She shook harder. Still nothing. Her father was slumped against the controls. There was blood on his face. His eyes were open, but they did not see her. Yuna did not understand death. She was too young. She only knew that her parents would not wake up, no matter how many times she called their names. She stayed in the pod for a long time. She cried until she had no more tears. She held her mother's cold hand and waited for someone to come. No one came. On the second day, hunger forced her to move. She found an emergency kit in the pod. There was water and some food bars inside. She ate one and drank some water. Then she sat next to her parents again. On the third day, the food was gone. Yuna was scared. She did not know what to do. The jungle outside the broken pod was dark and filled with strange sounds. But she was so hungry, she picked up Bomi, her stuffed rabbit, and climbed out of the pod. The planet was called Vethfer on human star charts. It was a jungle world, hot and wet, with thick trees that blocked the sun. Strange creatures moved in the shadows. Insects buzzed around Yuna's head. The air smelled like rotting plants. She walked without knowing where she was going. She just walked. Sometimes she fell down. Sometimes she cried. But she kept walking because she did not know what else to do. On the third night, Yuna collapsed beside a stream. She was too weak to move anymore. She held Bomi against her chest and closed her eyes. She thought about her mother's smile and her father's laugh. She thought about their small apartment back on Earth, where the sun came through the windows in the morning and made everything golden. She was ready to sleep forever. That was when Rin found her. Rin was not human. She had gray skin and 4 arms. Her eyes were large and dark, like pools of black water. Strange markings covered her body, and they glowed softly in the darkness. Blue and purple and green dots, she was a Velith, a member of an ancient species that had lived on this world for thousands of years. Her people were dying. A brutal enemy called the Keth Dominion had been destroying their worlds one by one. The Velith had fled here, to this jungle planet, hoping to hide. Rin had never seen a human before. She did not know what this small creature was. But she knew it was a child. She knew it was alone. She knew it was dying. Her companion, Tolek, grabbed her arm. He was scared. "We do not know what it is," he said. "It could be dangerous. We should leave." Rin looked at the small creature lying in the mud. It was holding a strange, soft object against its chest. Its tiny hands were dirty. Its face was streaked with dried tears. It was breathing, but barely. "It is a child," Rin said. "Nothing else matters." She picked up Yuna gently with 2 of her 4 arms. The human child was so light, so fragile, Rin could feel the small heartbeat against her chest. Yuna opened her eyes. She saw a gray face looking down at her. She saw glowing markings and large dark eyes. She should have been afraid. But she was too tired to be afraid. The alien creature was warm. Its arms were gentle. For the first time in 3 days, Yuna felt safe. She closed her eyes and slept. Rin carried the human child through the jungle for many hours. Tolek followed behind, still worried. "The elders will not be happy," he said. "We have enough problems. We cannot take care of an alien creature, and I will take care of her myself," Rin said. They reached the hidden Velith settlement as the sun rose. It was a small village built into the trees, invisible from above. 300 Velith lived there, the last survivors of their colony. The elders were indeed not happy. They argued and debated. Some wanted to leave the human child in the jungle. Some wanted to study her. Some simply did not care. But Rin refused to give her up. "I found her," Rin said. "I will care for her. She will not be a burden to anyone else." And so it was decided. For 47 days, Rin took care of Yuna. She fed her fruits and cooked roots. She gave her clean water from the stream. She made a small bed for her from soft leaves. She learned the human child's language word by word, and Yuna learned hers. They could not understand each other completely. But some things do not need words. Love is one of them. Kindness is another. On the 47th day, human rescue ship finally traced the emergency beacon from the crashed pod. Lieutenant Kong Minho and his team landed near the Velith settlement. They were shocked to find the little girl alive. She was healthy. She was clean. She was drawing pictures in the dirt with a stick, while a gray-skinned alien watched over her. Rin did Yuna to the human soldiers. The little girl cried and reached back for her, but Rin gently pushed her hands away. "Go with your people," Rin said in her broken human words. "Be happy. Live long." Lieutenant Minho looked at the alien. "We owe you a debt," he said. Rin shook her head. "Only kindness." He asked for nothing in return. As the rescue ship flew away, Yuna pressed her face against the window. She watched the jungle planet grow smaller and smaller. She clutched Bomi against her chest and made a promise she was too young to understand. Someday, she would come back. Someday she would repay the kindness. 22 years passed like water flowing through fingers. The little girl who had been saved by an alien became a woman. The woman became a soldier. The soldier became a legend. Admiral Unikim stood on the bridge of the battleship Eternal Dawn and looked out at the stars. She was 28 years old now, the youngest admiral in the history of the United Earth Fleet. Her black hair was cut short. Her uniform was perfect. Her eyes were sharp and clear, like a hawk watching the world below. But sometimes, late at night, those eyes grew soft. Sometimes she would take out an old stuffed rabbit with blue fur and white ears. It was worn and faded now. She had carried it across the galaxy, through battles and peace talks, through victory and loss. It reminded her of who she was. It reminded her of where she came from. It reminded her of a gray-skinned alien who had carried her through a jungle and asked for nothing in return. Yuna had never forgotten Rin. In the 22 years since her rescue, humanity had changed. The species that had once been limited to a single blue planet now spread across 100 worlds. Human ships traveled through space like birds through the sky. Human colonies grew on worlds that had never known human feet. Humanity had become a great power in the galaxy. Yuna had been part of that growth. She had fought in 3 wars. She had led diplomatic missions to 6 alien species. She had learned 7 alien languages, including Velith, which she had never stopped studying. People called her the bridge builder. She was famous for making peace with species that seemed impossible to understand. She had a gift for seeing the good in others, for finding common ground, for building trust. But she never stopped searching for news of the VA Leth. It was not easy. The Velith had almost disappeared from the galaxy. Their empire, once great and proud, had been destroyed by the Keth Dominion. The Keth were a brutal species that conquered weaker races and used them as slaves. They had no mercy. They had no kindness. They had only hunger. The Velith had been fighting the Keth for 100 years. They had lost. Their worlds had burned. Their people had scattered. Some said they were all dead now. Some said a few survivors still hid somewhere in the outer reaches of space. Why UNA believed the second story? She had to believe it. Then, on a quiet morning in the month of May, everything changed. A communication officer named Private June approached the Admiral with a confused look on his face. "Admiral, we have received a strange signal. It is very old and very weak. But the frequency signature is unusual. I have never seen anything like it." Una took the datapad from his hand. She looked at the numbers. Her heart stopped. She knew that frequency. She had memorized it years ago, studying everything she could find about the Velith. It was a Velith distress call. "Where is it coming from?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. "A dying star system at the edge of the galaxy," Private Jen said. "Very far away. It would take weeks to reach it." Una did not hesitate. She walked straight to the communication center and connected to Earth Command headquarters. The face of General Beak Siok appeared on the screen. He was an old man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been her mentor at the academy. He had taught her everything she knew about leadership. "Admiral Kim," he said, surprised. "This is unexpected. What can I do for you?" "General, I need permission to take the Third Fleet to the outer edge of the galaxy. I have received a Velith distress signal." General's face grew serious. "The Velith. We do not even know if they still exist. This signal proves they do. Or at least some of them. They are calling for help." The general was quiet for a moment. "What does the signal say?" Una played the message. It was broken and full of static, but the words were clear enough. A Velith voice, tired and afraid, speaking in the old tongue. "Aleph! We are the last of our people. The Keith have found us. They have given us an ultimatum. Surrender and become slaves or die. We have 200,000 souls. We have 30 ships. We cannot win. If anyone can hear this, please help us. Please." The message ended. The silence that followed was heavy. General Beak sighed. "Una, I understand your feelings. I know what happened to you as a child. But Earth's command will never approve a major military operation for a species we have no treaty with. There is no strategic value. The Keth are powerful. We could lose many ships and many lives." "I am not asking for a major operation," Una said. "I am asking for permission to go. Whatever ships I can gather, whatever resources I can find, I will take responsibility." The general looked at her for a long time. "Why, Una? Why does this matter so much to you?" Una closed her eyes. She saw a jungle. She saw a gray face with glowing markings. She felt for gentle arms lifting her from the mud. "Because one of them saved my life," she said. She asked for nothing. She expected nothing. She just helped me because I was a child who needed help. I cannot let her people die. I cannot live with myself if I do not try." The general nodded slowly. "I will speak to Earth Command. I will try to get you approval, but I can promise nothing." "Thank you, General." The call ended. Una turned to face her crew. They had heard everything. They were watching her with strange expressions on their faces. "Admiral," said Commander Park Hanna, her second in command, "is the story true? An alien really saved you when you were a child?" "Yes," Una said. "It is true. You want to take the fleet across the galaxy to save her people?" "Yes." Commander Park was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. "Then I am coming with you, whatever happens." Other officers stepped forward. Private June, Lieutenant Yoon, Captain Cho, one by one, they volunteered. Una felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "Thank you," she said. "All of you." 3 days later, Earth Command sent its response. They approved the mission, but with limited resources. 12 ships. That was all they would give. 12 ships against 500 Keth warships. It was suicide. But Una had already known this would happen. She had prepared for it. For 3 days, she had been making calls, sending messages, reaching out to every officer and every ship captain she had ever served with. She told them the story. The little girl. The alien who saved her. The debt that was never repaid. And they answered, Captain Lee Day, her old rival from the academy, was the first. I always thought you were crazy, he said with a laugh. But I will bring my carrier group. 20 ships. Commander Choi Hanna, who owed Yuna for saving her crew at the Battle of Nexus Gate, came next. 3 destroyer squadrons. 15 ships. We are with you. Admiral Beak Seok himself came out of retirement. Someone needs to make sure you do not get killed, he said. I will command the logistics division. More calls came. More volunteers. More ships. In 1 week, 12 ships became 40. In 2 weeks, 40 became 80. In 3 weeks, 80 became 160-3. Word had spread through the entire fleet. The story of the little girl and the alien who saved her. The admiral who refused to forget. The debt that humanity would repay. Yuna stood on the bridge of the eternal dawn and watched her fleet assemble. 163 ships, crewed by 30,000 volunteers who had come from across the galaxy to answer a call. Humanity does not forget. Opened a channel to the Keth Dominion. Is Admiral Yuna Kim of the United Earth Fleet. 22 years ago, a Velith saved my life when I was a child. She asked for nothing. She expected nothing. Today, humanity answers, withdraw from Velith space or face the consequences. The Keth warlord's response came quickly. It was laughter. 100 ships. He said, we have 500. Come if you wish, humans. We will destroy you along with the Velith. Yuna smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then we will come, she said. The fleet jumped toward the stars. The journey to the edge of the galaxy took 18 days. For 18 days, 163 human ships flew through the darkness of space toward a world they had never seen. To save a species most of them had never met. They flew because their admiral asked them to. They flew because they believed in something bigger than themselves. They flew because humanity does not forget its debts. Admiral Unakim spent those 18 days preparing for the battle ahead. She studied everything the fleet's intelligence division could find about the Keth Dominion. She learned their tactics. She memorized their ship designs. She found their weaknesses. The Keth were strong, but they were also arrogant. They had conquered so many weaker species that they had forgotten what it was like to face a true enemy. They relied on numbers, not skill. They attacked with brute force. It's not clever plans. Yuna planned to use that arrogance against them. Captain Li Day joined her in the strategy room one night. He was a tall man with a scar across his chin, souvenir from the Battle of Nexus Gate. He and Yuna had been rivals since their academy days. He had always been faster, stronger, more aggressive. But she had always been smarter. The crew is nervous, he said, sitting down across from her. They know the numbers. 500 against 163. Those are not good odds, Yuna nodded. I know. Do you have a plan? I have several, but none of them are certain. This will be the hardest fight of our lives. Li Day was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. I remember when we first met at the academy. You were this small, quiet girl who never talked to anyone. I thought you would never survive the first year. Yuna smiled back. I remember you told me I was too soft to be a soldier. I was wrong. You were. They both laughed. It was a strange moment of peace before the storm. Tell me about her, Li Day said. The alien who saved you. What was she like? Yuna closed her eyes. The memories came flooding back, as clear as if they had happened yesterday. Her name was Rin, she said. She had gray skin and 4 arms. Her eyes were the darkest black I have ever seen. But they were kind. So kind. She paused, remembering. I was terrified when I first saw her. I thought she was a monster. But she picked me up so gently like I was made of glass. She carried me through the jungle for hours. She never complained. She never stopped to rest. She just carried me. Did she speak to you? A little. Her voice was soft, like wind through leaves. She did not know my language, and I did not know hers. But she kept talking to me anyway. I think she was trying to comfort me. Yuna opened her eyes. For 47 days she took care of me. She fed me. She protected me. She stayed awake at night to watch over me while I slept. And when the rescue team came, she just handed me over. No demands. No payment. She just smiled and said goodbye. Lee Day shook his head. That is incredible. It changed my life. It changed who I am. Before that, I was just a scared little girl. After that, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like her. I wanted to help people who needed help, no matter who they were or where they came from. And now, you are going back to help her. I am going back to help her people. I do not even know if she is still alive. The signal came from a colony, but I do not know if Rin is there. She might have died years ago. Does that matter? Yuna thought about it. No, she said finally. It does not. Even if she is gone, her people are still there. Her kindness is still there. That is what I am fighting for. Conversation ended. Lee Day left to check on his crew. Yuna stayed in the strategy room, staring at the maps and numbers and plans. She thought about the 200,000 Velith waiting on Veltara. She thought about the mothers and fathers, the children and elders. All of them trapped between a brutal enemy and the cold emptiness of space. She thought about their fear, their hope, their desperate prayers for salvation. She would not let them down. On the 15th day of the journey, Yuna called a fleet-wide meeting. Every ship connected to the broadcast. 30,000 faces looked at her through screens across the fleet. In 3 days, she said, we will arrive at Veltara. In 3 days, we will face the largest enemy fleet any of us have ever seen. Many of us will not survive. I will not lie to you about that. She paused, letting her words sink in. But I want you to understand why we are here. Why we have come so far, to a place most of us have never been, to help people most of us have never met. She held up the old stuffed rabbit with blue fur and white ears. It looked tiny in her hands. 22 years ago, I was a child. My ship crashed. My parents died. I was alone in a jungle on a world I did not know, surrounded by creatures I could not understand. I was 6 years old, and I was going to die. She lowered the rabbit. But I did not die. Because someone found me, an alien. A Velith named Rin. She had never seen a human before. She did not know what I was. Her people were dying, hunted by the same enemy we are about to fight. She had every reason to leave me there. Every reason to walk away. Yuna's voice grew stronger. But she did not walk away. She picked me up. She carried me through the jungle. She fed me and protected me for 47 days. And when my people finally came for me, she asked for nothing in return. She said there was no debt, only kindness. She looked directly into the camera, as if she could see every single face watching her. She was wrong. There is a debt. Not a debt of money or power, a debt of the soul. When someone saves your life, when someone shows you kindness in your darkest hour, you owe them something that can never be measured and can never be forgotten. Her voice rang across the fleet. The Velith saved one human child. Today, humanity will answer. Today, we will show the galaxy what happens when you threaten those who have shown us kindness. Today, we will repay a debt that is 22 years old. She raised her fist. For Rin, for the Velith, for humanity, across 163 ships, 30,000 voices answered her. For humanity. The cry echoed through space. The fleet flew on. On the 18th day, they arrived. The Veltara system was a dying place. The star at its center was old and red, slowly fading toward darkness. Only one planet remained habitable, a small world of blue oceans and green forests. It was beautiful, in a sad and lonely way, and surrounding it were 500 Keth warships. The enemy fleet was massive. Their ships were ugly, brutal things, covered in spikes and weapons. They hung in space like a cloud of metal locusts, ready to consume everything below. The Velith defense force was tiny in comparison. 30 old ships, their hulls scarred from decades of running and hiding. They formed a thin line between the Keth and their planet. A line that would not hold for long. Yuna watched the sensor readings on her screen. 500 against 163. The numbers had not changed, but she had. All ships, she said calmly. Form defensive formation around Veltara. Protect the planet at all costs. The human fleet moved into position. The Keth warlord's face appeared on her screen. He was a massive creature with 4 eyes and a mouthful of sharp teeth. His name was Greth, and he had destroyed 3 civilizations. "So you actually came," Greth said, laughing. "I admire your stupidity, human. You will make excellent slaves after we break you." Ashuna smiled. "You talk too much." She cut the communication. "All ships," she said. "Fire." The battle for Veltora had begun. The first human missiles hit the Keth fleet before Warlord Greth could even give an order. 3 Keth destroyers exploded in balls of fire and metal. The rest of the enemy fleet broke formation, surprised by the sudden attack. They had expected negotiations. They had expected fear. They had not expected humans to simply start shooting. Admiral Unikim watched the chaos unfold on her tactical display. She had studied Keth's tactics for 18 days. She knew they relied on intimidation and overwhelming force. They were not prepared for an enemy who struck first and asked questions never. "All carrier groups," she ordered, "launch fighters. All destroyers, target their weapons platforms. All cruisers, protect our flanks." The human fleet moved like a single living creature. Years of training and discipline had turned 30,000 individuals into one fighting force. They did not hesitate. They did not question. They fought Captain Lee Day's carrier, the Iron Storm, released 200 fighters into the darkness of space. The small ships swarmed toward the Keth fleet like angry insects, dodging enemy fire and releasing their payloads against the larger vessels. Commander Choi Hanna led her destroyer squadron straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Her ships were smaller and faster than the Keth warships. They danced around the enemy fire, striking at weak points and retreating before the Keth could respond. The battle raged for 1 hour. Then 2, then 3. The Keth recovered from their initial surprise and began to push back. Their numbers were still overwhelming. For every Keth ship the humans destroyed, 2 more took its place. For every victory, there was a loss. The destroyer Sunrise was the first human ship to die. It was hit by 12 missiles at once and broke apart in a silent explosion. 300 crew members were gone in an instant. Then the cruiser. Winter rose. Then the frigates Black Moon and Silent Wave, one by one. Human ships began to fall. Admiral Yuna watched the losses mount on her screen. Each number was a ship. Each ship was a crew. Each crew was made of people who had volunteered to be here, who had believed in her, who had followed her across the galaxy because of a story about a little girl and an alien. She could not let their sacrifice be meaningless. "Lee Day," she said into her communicator, "I need you to draw their attention. Take your carrier group and attack their left flank. Make noise. Make them look at you." "What are you planning?" Lee Day asked. "Something stupid." There was a pause. Then Lee Day laughed. "My favorite kind of plan. We are moving now." The Iron Storm and its escorts turned toward the left side of the Keth formation. They opened fire with everything they had, missiles and lasers and plasma cannons all blazing at once. The Keth turned to face them, their attention drawn away from the center of the battle. Yuna saw her opening. "All cruisers, follow me. We are going through the debris field." The debris field was the remains of the first ships destroyed in the battle. It was a spinning maze of broken metal and fire, too dangerous for normal navigation. But Yuna had spent years flying through asteroid fields and space junk. She knew how to navigate chaos. Her cruiser, the Eternal Dawn, dove into the debris. 5 other cruisers followed her. They twisted and turned through the wreckage, dodging pieces of destroyed ships and unexploded missiles. On the other side of the debris field was the Keth command ship. It was the largest vessel in the enemy fleet, 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. Warlord Greth sat at its center, directing the battle. Yuna emerged from the debris field directly behind the command ship. The Keth had not seen her coming. "Fire everything," she said. 6 human cruisers unleashed their weapons at point-blank range. Missiles slammed into the command ship's engines. Lasers cut through its armor. The great vessel shuddered and began to burn, but it was not enough. The command ship was too large, too strong. It started to turn, bringing its main guns around to face the human cruisers. Then Commander Choi Hanna's voice came over the communicator. "Admiral, we are coming in." Yuna saw it on her tactical display. Choi Hanna's destroyer, the Phoenix, was flying directly toward the command ship. It was damaged, trailing smoke and fire. Its weapons were empty, but it was not slowing down. Yuna shouted, "What are you doing?" "Paying my debt," Choi Hanna said. Her voice was calm. "You saved my crew at Nexus Gate. Now I am saving yours. Tell my family I love them." The Phoenix accelerated. It hit the command ship's main cannon at full speed. The explosion was enormous. The command ship's weapons array was destroyed completely. The great vessel was crippled, unable to fire. Commander Choi Hanna was gone. Yuna did not have time to grieve. She aimed her remaining weapons at the command ship's bridge and fired. The bridge exploded. Warlord Greth died in a ball of fire. Without their leader, the Keth fleet fell into confusion. The Warlord had been their commander, their guide, their voice. Without him, they did not know what to do. "All ships," Yuna broadcast across the fleet, "press the attack. They are breaking." The human fleet surged forward. The Velith Defense Force, seeing what was happening, joined them. Together, they pushed into the confused Keth formation. The battle turned. Keth ships began to retreat. First a few, then a dozen, then hundreds. They fled into the darkness of space, leaving their dead behind. By the 6th hour, it was over. The Keth Dominion was defeated. Yuna stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn and looked at the tactical display. The numbers were terrible. 31 human ships destroyed. 4,200 human lives lost. Commander Choi Hanna, the crews of the Sunrise and Winter Rose, all the others who had given everything for this moment. But the Velith were safe. 200,000 souls on the planet below would live to see another day. On the surface of Veltara, the Velith watched the sky in wonder. They had seen the human fleet arrive. They had watched the battle unfold above their heads. They had prayed to whatever gods they still believed in for salvation, and salvation had come. An old Velith sat in a medical shelter near the capital city. Her gray skin was wrinkled with age. Her bioluminescent markings had faded to a soft glow. She had lived for 90 years, seen her world destroyed, and watched her people slowly fade away. Her name was Rin. A young human medic sat beside her. His name was Jin, and he had been sent down from the fleet to help with the wounded. He was young and kind, with gentle hands and a soft voice. "The battle is over," he told Rin. "We won." Rin looked at him with her large, dark eyes. "Why?" she asked. "Why did your people come? Why did you fight for us?" Jin smiled. "Because you saved one of us." A long time ago, Rin did not understand. There was a little girl, Jin explained. Her ship crashed on a jungle world. She was alone and dying. A Velith found her and saved her life. That little girl grew up. She became an admiral. And when she heard your people were in danger, she came to help. She brought a fleet with her. She brought all of us. Rin's markings began to glow brighter. Tears formed in her eyes. "The little one," she whispered. "The small creature in the jungle? She survived?" "She did more than survive," Jin said. "She came back for you." "For all of you?" Rin began to weep. Her 4 hands covered her face. Her entire body shook with emotion. She had never expected to see that child again. She had never expected anything in return for what she did. She had simply helped a lost creature because it was the right thing to do. And now, 22 years later, that creature had returned with the fire of 1,000 suns to save her people. Outside the shelter, the sky was clearing. The smoke and fire of battle was fading. And through the clouds, Rin could see the shapes of human ships descending toward the surface. Help had arrived. The shuttle landed softly on the grass outside the capital city. Admiral. Yuna Kim stepped off the ramp and looked around at the world she had come so far to save. Veltara was beautiful. Blue oceans sparkled under the red sun. Green forests stretched across the hills. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Crowds of Velith had gathered to see her. They lined the streets by the thousands, their bioluminescent markings glowing in patterns of blue and purple and gold. They reached out to touch her as she walked past, their four-fingered hands gentle and trembling. They were crying. All of them. Una did not understand their language well enough to catch every word, but she understood the emotion. Gratitude, disbelief, joy, wonder. They had been waiting to die. They had accepted their fate. And then humans had come from across the galaxy to save them. A young Velith girl ran up to Una and pressed a small flower into her hand. It was purple with golden spots, and it smelled like honey. The girl's markings flickered in a shy pattern. "Thank you," the girl said in broken human speech. "Thank you for coming." Una knelt down to meet the girl's eyes. "What is your name?" "Tira. That is a beautiful name. Tira." Una tucked the flower behind her ear. "You do not need to thank me. This is what family does." As the girl's markings brightened. She did not fully understand the words, but she understood the feeling behind them. She smiled and ran back to her parents. Una stood and continued walking through the city. Her destination was a medical shelter near the center of town. A young medic named Jin had sent her a message. Earlier that morning, the message had said only 4 words: "She is still alive." Una's heart beat faster with every step. 22 years of waiting. 22 years of wondering. 22 years of hoping. She reached the shelter. It was a simple building made of wood and stone, filled with beds and medical equipment. Human doctors worked alongside Velith healers, treating the wounded from the battle and the years of hardship before it. Jin met her at the door. He was smiling. "This way, Admiral." He led her through the shelter to a small room in the back. There, sitting in a chair by the window, was an old Velith woman. Her gray skin was wrinkled. Her forearms were thin. Her bioluminescent markings had faded to soft shadows. But her eyes were the same. Large and dark, like pools of black water. Kind eyes. Gentle eyes. Rin. Why, Una stopped in the doorway. Her breath caught in her throat. For a moment, she was 6 years old again. Lying in the mud of a jungle world. Looking up at the face of a stranger who had chosen to save her, Rin turned to look at the visitor. At first, she did not recognize the woman standing there. She saw a human in a military uniform with short black hair and sharp eyes. Just another soldier. Then Una walked forward and knelt beside her chair. She took Rin's weathered hand in her own. "Do you remember me?" Una asked in Velith. Her pronunciation was not perfect, but it was close enough. "Do you remember a jungle world called Vethfor? Do you remember a crashed ship and a little girl crying beside it?" Rin's eyes widened. Her markings began to glow. "Do you remember carrying me through the trees? Feeding me fruit from your own hands? Sitting beside me at night while I slept?" Rin's 4 hands began to tremble. "I was so small then," Una said. "So frightened. I thought I was going to die. But you saved me. You stayed with me until my people came. And when they took me away, you asked for nothing. You said there was no debt. Only kindness." Tears were streaming down Rin's face now. Her markings burned bright blue, the Velith expression of overwhelming emotion. "The little one," she breathed. "My little one. You came back?" "I came back," Una said. "I never forgot you. I never forgot what you did. And when I heard your people were in danger, I had to come. I had to try to repay what you gave me." Rin's 4 hands reached out and cupped Una's face. They were warm and soft, just as Una remembered. "You did not need to repay anything," Rin said. "I helped you because you needed help. That is all," Una said. "But I wanted to, because you showed me something that day. You showed me that kindness is stronger than fear, that love is stronger than hate, that a single act of compassion can change everything." She smiled through her tears. "You saved one human child. Today, humanity saved your entire species. That is the echo of your kindness. That is what you started." Rin pulled Una into an embrace. 4 arms wrapped around her, holding her tight. For a moment, Una felt like a child again. safe and warm in the arms of someone who loved her. They stayed like that for a long time. In the weeks that followed, humanity and the Velith began to build something new together. Human engineers helped repair the Velith cities that had been damaged by years of war. Human doctors shared medical knowledge that saved thousands of lives. Human ships carried supplies and food and hope to a people who had nearly lost everything. The Velith, in turn, shared their own gifts. Their knowledge of agriculture transformed struggling human colonies into thriving gardens. Their understanding of stellar mechanics helped human scientists unlock new ways to travel through space. Their art and music and stories enriched human culture in ways no one had expected. Earth. Command officially declared the Velith to be under humanity's protection. Any attack on Velith territory would be considered an attack on Earth itself. The Keth Dominion, weakened by their defeat at Veltara, did not dare to challenge this declaration. Families began to form across species lines. Human couples adopted Velith children whose parents had died in the wars. Velith families welcomed human students who wanted to learn their ways. Schools opened where children of both species learned together, played together, grew up together. It was not always easy. There were misunderstandings and conflicts, moments of frustration and confusion. Two species learning to live together always faced challenges, but they faced those challenges together. 1 year after the Battle of Eltara, a statue was built in the central square of the capital city. It showed a four-armed alien carrying a small human child through a jungle. The child was sleeping. The alien's face was determined and kind. A plaque stood beneath it. The words were written in both Velith and Korean. One act of compassion echoes across generations. We remember, we return, we protect. Admiral Unikim came to visit the statue on the anniversary of the battle. She brought flowers, purple with golden spots, the same kind the little girl Tira had given her. Rin was there too, sitting on a bench beside the statue. She was old and tired, but her eyes still glowed with warmth when she saw Yuna approaching. "You came," Rin said. "I will always come," Yuna replied. "Every year, as long as I am alive." She sat down beside her old friend. Together, they watched children playing in the square. Human children and Velith children, chasing each other and laughing, speaking a mixed language that belonged to neither species and both. "I never expected this," Rin said softly. "When I found you in that jungle, I never imagined this would happen. I just wanted to help a lost child." "That is why it happened," Yuna said. "Because you did not expect anything. Because you helped without asking for anything in return. That is the purest form of kindness there is." She took Rin's hand. "Some debts can never be fully repaid," Yuna said, "but humanity will never stop trying. For as long as there are humans in the stars, we will remember what you did. We will remember the alien who saved a child. And we will honor that memory by being kind to others, just as you were kind to me." Rin's markings glowed softly. She squeezed Yuna's hand. "Then I am glad," she said. "I am glad I found you that day. I am glad I carried you through the jungle. I am glad I lived long enough to see what my kindness became." The red sun was setting over Veltara. The sky turned gold and purple and blue, the same colors as Velith markings. Children laughed in the square. Music drifted from somewhere in the city. 2 women, 1 human, and 1 alien sat together and watched the day end. They did not need to speak. They had already said everything that needed to be said. Some bonds are stronger than blood. Some debts are paid with love. Some stories have no ending because they keep echoing through time, from one generation to the next. Forever, this was one of those stories. And it was only the beginning.